Good morning. Our centering music this morning is Behold, Darkness Shall Cover the Earth from Handel's Messiah.
Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to Sunday worship here at First Parish in Lexington. I am Ben Soul, one of the worship associates here. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation guided by 8 principles and inspired by sources from all parts of human experience. Whether you are in the building or online, whether you are a newcomer or a longtime regular, we are glad you are here with us this morning, and we hope you will find a reason to return. We have a few announcements. Our front steps continue to be closed. They look like they're almost done, but don't try them yet, please. In case of an emergency, though, here in the sanctuary, please do not go to the rear, but exit through the red curtains here and go out the side door. Jim Pogue has an announcement.
Hello, I'm Jim Pogue. First Parish is developing for the first time an integrated mission, vision, and covenant. This work is being done by the Shared Ministry Committee. We on the committee want and need your help. Surely you don't want this mission and vision to reflect just the 6 people on the committee. We don't know what you want First Parish to be unless you tell us. Please come immediately after the service today to Parker Hall to participate in an interactive session to share what matters to you about being a UU and a First Parish member, and where and how our First Parish community can make a difference and improve our lives. Yes, we'd like you to come immediately after the service and at lunchtime, but there will be lunch provided, and it will be free. So please come, even if you did not previously sign up. We have some extra lunches. What more do you want in a First Parish meeting? Free food and a chance to speak your mind about what First Parish should be. If you come, you'll be like that group on the right side of those pictures. You'll be very happy that you helped shape First Parish. For those who cannot come today, there'll be a Zoom session this coming Thursday, December 14th at 7 p.m. No online food. We haven't yet developed the capability from Star Trek to beam food to you, but you can share your views about First Parish. The Zoom link for this coming Thursday meeting was in last week's update and will be in this coming Wednesday's weekly update. Please come to one of these sessions. We are a lay-driven congregation. And how can we be lay-driven without the participation of all of us to make this community all we want? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. That's very important. Now, the auction committee, Vicky Guo, Richard Jobling, and Tom Rich, would like to thank everyone who participated in the Great Fall Auction, which wrapped up last night. It was fabulous. The auction brought in $23,100, 5% of which goes to our community partner, Smart from the Start. Now, please take a moment to say hello to your neighbors and to hush your electronic devices. Thank you.
Why don't you come up? We need some space. So you can just start right here. You right there. It's just easier. And then when we're done, maybe just sit right down so you don't walk through the choir. This morning we will celebrate both our Jewish and our Muslim sources of religious inspiration. We must do everything we can to fight both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, even in the midst of so much continued conflict in the Middle East, especially now, when violence and hatred threaten to pull us apart. We will honor the unique teachings of each faith and look for the places that inspire us to join together as one humanity. Our Jewish families are asked to find a spark of light during this dark time of the year. And so on this fourth day of Hanukkah, we ask Richard Fleiss to light the menorah according to the tradition of his Jewish heritage. We appreciate that the menorah is usually lit at sundown, and so we honor this moment of teaching, which allows us to light the menorah in the morning.
Morning.
Here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'halak ner shel Hanukkah. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us with your commandments and commanded us to kindle the lights of Hanukkah.
Thank you, Richard. Our introit this morning is Light One Candle, sung by our Sanctuary Choir.
Light one candle,
I'd like to invite Susanna Whitman, a member of our church board, to light our chalice this morning. Thank you. Out of the darkness, light. Out of the light, warmth. Out of the warmth, joy. Out of the joy, togetherness. May this flame hold us for the time we are here with one another. Now please rise and body your spirit and speak together the words of our affirmation of faith, that we may be reminded of our covenant one to another. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Please be seated.
Good morning. Today's story is called Hide and Seek with God, and it is written by Mary Ann Moore. Once upon a time, God said, I am bored because I don't have anything to do. I want to play with my friends. And because God is God, as soon as the words were spoken, God's friends were there. And when God saw them all gathered, God said, I've been bored because I don't have anything to do. Let's play something. Good idea, said God's friends. What shall we play? God thought for a minute and then said, I know, let's play hide and seek. The friends all said, yay! They knew that hide and seek with God was always exciting and different because God was the one who hid, and God always thought of wonderful places to hide. God's friends closed their eyes tight and counted to 10. And when they opened their eyes, God wasn't there anymore. So they all went off to look for God. One friend decided to look close on the earth and soon came to a meadow. As he was searching, he stopped to admire the tender new sprouts of green grass pushing their way up toward the sun. As he bent over to look more closely at the tender green, he realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful about it. So he jumped up and ran back to home base, calling out, I found God. God is green and growing. I found God in the grass. Another one of God's friends decided to look for God in the night. She watched the sun go down and heard the workaday noises stop and saw the lights in the houses go out. As it got darker and the peaceful night wrapped itself around her, she listened very hard. And then she realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful about it. And when it was so still that she could see and hear nothing at all, she suddenly jumped up and ran to home base, calling out, I found God. God is dark and peaceful. I found God in the night. A third friend looked on the earth and felt the mystery of the grass growing toward the sun. He stayed and watched the night come on, and he felt the mystery of the darkness and the stars. He thought to himself, these mysteries are special and amazing and wonderful. But when he finally came back to home base, he said, I found wonderful mysteries, but I'm not sure if I want to call them God. A fourth friend decided to look for God where people were. He joined a group of people going home from work and went with them into the store where they bought food. He went with them back out on the street as they started for their homes. He was with them when someone came up and said, Please, I am very hungry. Could you share a little food with me? The people readily agreed, and as he watched them share, he realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful about those people. He turned around and ran to home base, calling out, I found God. God is love and sharing. I found God in people who care for others. Finally, two more of God's friends, a boy and a girl, decided to look for God together. After a time, they came to a house and decided to look for God in the house. In the house, they saw a room, and they looked for God in the room. In the room, they saw a mirror, and they looked for God in the mirror. And as they looked into the mirror, they realized there was something special and amazing and wonderful being reflected in it. They turned around and ran to home base, calling out, "We found God! We found God in us!" At this, God appeared again and said, "I had so much fun. Weren't those good hiding places? Some of you found me. Others weren't sure, and others are still looking. That's okay, because the most important thing is just to play the game. Let's do it again. I'm sure I can think of some other good hiding places." And they all called out, "Ollie, ollie, oxen, free, free," and the game started all over again. Thank you. So, children's religious exploration will go downstairs to the Robinson Hall. So if you are new to our congregation, please join us.
And the rest of us can rise in body or spirit for our first hymn. Our first hymn is "Come, Come, Whoever You Are." The words are from the mystic Sufi poet Rumi. It's number 188 in the gray hymnal or up on the screen.
So congregation, if you would sing with me and Anne, the choir is going to do some canonic singing along with you.
Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of evening, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, get again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of evening, ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, get whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of evening, ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of evening, ours is no caravan of despair.
Good morning. My name is Dan England, and on behalf of the Committee on Leadership and Service, we'd like to recognize the First Parish Board of Trustees this morning. As you know, this is part of our ongoing effort to have recognition occur during the course of the entire year, so it's a great privilege to be able to acknowledge our board here. The Board of Trustees consists of 10 members, and I'd like to invite each of them to stand as their names are called in alphabetical order. Stacy Boutell, Brian Herrick, who serves as chair of that board, Amy Jameson, Joanne Moretti-Schick, Jonathan Richardson, Mia Roop, Ruth Rose, Laura Rosen, Susanna Whitman, and Reverend Ann Mason ex officio. Our board works tirelessly to support the First Parish congregation in defining and living its vision, mission, and covenant. The board's scope encompasses both general oversight and fiduciary responsibilities. It makes governance decisions and policies that align with our vision, mission, and covenant. and it helps formulate and present our annual budget to achieve this vision, mission, and covenant. And it does all of this while creating a space for continued spiritual and leadership growth, both for the board members themselves, the staff, and the entire congregation. So won't you please join me now in recognizing our board's invaluable contribution to First Parish.
Thank you, Dan, and yes, thank you to our board. Our reading this morning is also by Rumi, the mystic Sufi poet. Come out, come close. Come out, come close. Why hide? Why deceive? You are me and I am you. Why get mired in me's and you's? We are light upon light, and the glass light passes through. Why muddy ourselves with a grudge? Together we are whole and complete. Why see through eyes that split one into two? Why do the rich look down on the poor? Why does the right hand scorn the left? Both are from one body. Why call one vile and one blessed? Our essence, one intelligence, thrust us into one curved cosmos, where the soul counts as one, the mind insists on two. 5 senses, 6 directions, drop the lot, leap forth, let oneness draw you closer and draw you in. There you are a gold mine, not just a nugget of gold. There's one spirit in countless bodies, one oil in countless almonds, one meaning in countless words, uttered by countless tongues. Shatter the jugs. The water is one. Steeped in union, the heart remembers a world beyond words. Soul, send the news. This is the time in the service when we have the opportunity to further the important work of this church and of Unitarian Universalism. Please be as generous as you are able. You may point your camera at the QR code in the order of service or online, or if you are here in the sanctuary, our ushers will come around. The offertory this morning is One Voice by the Wailin Jennys, sung by Kate Berg, Liz Hartmann, and Liz Savir, with Michael Bruce on guitar.
One spirit, one people, one voice. A sound for every one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful piece. You do it so beautifully. When religions are defined by what separates us from each other, they cause us to form tribes of the like-minded who protect each other from the outsiders. These tribal stances have created bands of strong people who are connected by their beliefs and their culture. They survive by seeing outsiders as the other. And as resources become more scarce, enmity grows between these groups, and warfare is the inevitable result. We are seeing this around the world right now, and it is disastrous, and it is painful, and it is wrong. As a person of faith, I want to see religion become a tool to unify people, not divide them. If I cannot find this, I cannot remain a person of faith. It is the very essence of my spirituality to find common bonds between people, between cultures, between religions. What has always drawn me towards Unitarian Universalism is the ability to hold multiple religious perspectives at one time. We are uniquely situated to hold the truths of both sides of a conflict because we are trained to never accept only one religious perspective as the ultimate truth. We live in the state of non-duality, and this is our superpower. The conflict between Israel and Hamas is laden with multiple complexities. Each time I learn something more, I see just a bit more clearly some of the long-standing animosity between these people who have fought each other for thousands of years. Each ethnicity claims the right to their land. And each person on either side of this fight has the right to be treated with inherent worth and dignity, as we say as Unitarian Universalists. Now, I am not going to try to explain 1,000 years of history this morning. Do I hear a silent exhalation of whew from the pews? Just being honest here. But what I do want to do is to explore a family system that is at the heart of the Jewish, Muslim, and Christian scriptures, the family of our shared ancestor, Abraham. Ain't no fight like a family fight. Let's start with the book of Genesis, regarded by both Jews and Christians as the first sacred book in their lineage. We meet Abram, the Hebrew, when he is already an adult. In chapter 12, Abram is called by God and told, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing." So Abram, who was already 75 years old, took his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot, and they settled in Canaan. Lot is taken captive, and Abram rouses all of his trained men and rescues Lot. Abram is known as a devout man who does the will of God, even when it means going to war. God soon develops a covenant with Abram, introducing the requirement of circumcision, and tells Abram that he will now be known as Abraham. And God tells him that even though his wife has not been able to give him children, he should not fear, for, it says in chapter 15, "No one but your very own issue shall be your heir." God brought him outside and said, "Look towards the heavens and count the stars if you're able to count them." And then he said to him, "So shall your descendants be." And he believed the Lord, and the Lord reckoned it to him as righteousness. Now, in the Muslim tradition, as my friend Amber Iqbal explained to me, Abraham is known as Ibrahim in the Quran. His story began when he was a child, as recounted in the Quran. Surrounded by idol worshippers, Ibrahim found it very uncomfortable to live where he was. His father used to carve idols for a living, and Abraham noticed that the idols did not talk or eat or drink, and they couldn't even stop themselves from falling over. People would make these idols and then would start worshiping them, and it didn't make any sense to him. So desperate to ease this confusion about what the people were doing, the prophet Ibrahim used to think long and hard about his creations and the purpose of the creation of the earth, the sky, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Throughout this story, Ibrahim is known as the one who rejects idols and who does the will of Allah. So from the beginning of this story, Ibrahim worships the one God known as Allah. So far, both the Hebrew and the Islamic scripture, Abraham and Ibrahim, are still fairly parallel as characters. So continuing the story in both scriptures, there is a famine, so Abraham and Sarah must travel. And on the journey, both sources provide an interesting interlude where Sarah and Abraham stay for a bit in Egypt. And Abraham introduces Sarah as his sister to protect her from the ruler, while in the Muslim story, Ibrahim hides her in a box to protect her from the ruler, from these men that would want her because she's so beautiful. In both traditions, Sarah is a pious and chaste woman. And in both, Sarah acquires a slave girl named Hagar. Now here's where the traditions really deviate. In Genesis 16, it says, "Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bore him no children. She had an Egyptian slave whose name was Hagar, and Sarah said to Abram, 'You see that the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go into my slave. It may be that I shall obtain children through her.'" Notice that it's Sarah who hopes to gain a child through her own slave. But when Hagar conceives, things start to go wrong. Remember, this is a family drama, so what could possibly happen? Genesis continues, "Then Sarah said to Abram, 'May the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my slave to your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me.' But Abraham said to Sarah, 'Your slave is in your power. Do to her as you please.' Then Sarah dealt harshly with her, and she ran away." Well, now notice that Abraham takes no agency at this point with his own potential offspring, but he does say that Sarah has power over Hagar. So Hagar flees to the desert, but an angel appears to her and convinces her to name her child Ishmael and return to Abraham. So then Ishmael is born, Abraham raises his son, and Hagar remains a slave. Meanwhile, the wife Sarah is still barren. Now, in the Hadith, which is one of the Muslim scriptures, the story is told in a different way, one which legitimizes and lifts up the relationship of Hagar and Ibrahim. It's said that Sarah could not have children, and they were both aging day by day. So Sarah suggested that the prophet Ibrahim marries Hagar, and that maybe through Hagar they would have children. At least in this way, the lineage of Abraham would continue. Notice that Sarah here is concerned with Abraham's lineage, not with her own. The prophet Abraham married Hagar, and they were blessed with a boy, whom they named Ishmael. In this version, as you can see, Ishmael is the beloved first son of Abraham and the legitimate heir of the promises of God. Importantly, Abraham travels with Hagar and Ishmael and respects her as his second wife. When I asked Amber Iqbal about this, she said that the prophet Abraham is so revered in the story that they cannot say that he could have borne a child outside of wedlock. So that would reflect on Abraham's own morality. Both sources describe a time when Hagar and Ishmael are in the desert. In the Hebrew scripture, this happens after the birth of Isaac, when Sarah cannot bear the image of her son, Isaac, playing with Abraham's son, Ishmael, nor the thought of Ishmael being his heir. And so she sends them out into the desert. Abraham gives them water, which soon runs out, but an angel comes to Hagar and provides her with water. And God says that a great nation will be made of Ishmael. In the Quran, Ibrahim accompanies his wife and firstborn son into the desert, where there is little water, and he prays to Allah to be their protector. Ibrahim says, "Lord, I have settled some of my offspring in a barren valley near your sacred house. Our Lord, so that they may establish prayer, so make the hearts of believing people incline towards them and provide them with fruits, so perhaps they will be thankful." Well, eventually the food and the water ran out, and Hagar and her son Ishmael were hungry and thirsty. Abraham, meanwhile, has gone back to his first wife, Sarah. Soon Ishmael was crying and tossing in agony, and desperate to find some water, Hagar runs to a nearby hill, and she climbs up to see if she could see anyone or any signs of water. She didn't see anything, so she ran back down and climbed the other hill looking for water and other people. And she runs back and forth between these hills 7 times, in each time praying to Allah that she might find some water. When Hagar reached what's called the Marwa for the last time, she heard a voice, and she asked herself to be quiet and listened attentively. She heard the voice again and said, "Oh, whoever you may be, you have made me hear your voice. Have you got something to help me?" And behold, she saw an angel at the place of Zamzam, digging the earth with his heel till water flowed from that place. She started to make something like a basin around it, using her hands to dig in the sand and filling her water skin with water from her hands, and the water was flowing out after she had scooped up some of it. The flowing water in this town, which is now known as Mecca, drew a caravan to it, and they settled there, welcoming Hagar and Ishmael, and they taught them to speak Arabic, and Ishmael grew up and married from within this tribe. Well, the story is that Abraham traveled between Mecca and Egypt to see both of his wives, and that he and Ishmael built the sacred house, which we know as the Kaaba, which is the most holy site of Islam. And when people go on the pilgrimage to Mecca, to this day, they run 7 times between those hills so that they can honor the faith of Hagar and the graciousness of Allah. Now, going back to Genesis in chapter 18, God promises Sarah that she will bear a son. Verse 11 says, "Now Abraham and Sarah were old and advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, 'After I have grown old and my husband is old, should I have pleasure?' But pleasure she has, and Isaac is born." Now remember, this is a family drama, and so the story cannot end happily with the birth of Isaac. Oh no. For God commands Abraham to take his son, now it's referred to as his only son, Isaac, to the mountain and offer him there as a burnt sacrifice. Isaac knows nothing of this. He is an innocent in this. The version in the Quran is much different. Ishmael is the one taken to be sacrificed, not Isaac. But Ishmael knows what Allah has commanded, and he agrees to give himself as sacrifice because of his faith. Same story of sacrifice, different son. Here is the root of all the differences that I can see. In the Islamic version, Ibrahim is an upstanding man who has 2 wives, which was okay back then, and he has 2 beloved sons. Ishmael is devout and agrees to be the burnt offering, but miraculously, God provides a ram as a sacrifice. The faith of Ishmael is as important to the followers of Muhammad as the faith of Ibrahim, and together they build the Kaaba in Mecca. In the Hebrew version, Abraham is an upstanding man who marries a pious woman and has a child with her slave. This child is cast out into the wilderness, and God provides a miracle child, Isaac, in their old age. This child is considered to be Abraham's only son. His faith is tested as he's commanded to bring his only son to be a burnt offering. But again, a ram appears in the thicket, which provides the sacrifice, so Isaac is spared. Christians see the story of Abraham and Isaac pointing towards the sacrifice of God's only son, Jesus. And I have heard many sermons making that parallel. It would be a less poignant story if God or Abraham had had two sons, don't you think? Completely shifts the story. My friends, I offer you these stories today in the hopes that you might want to trace history back to these days of prehistory, back to stories of what united people more than what now separates them. There are ancient claims to the land of Palestine and Israel, and ancient animosities which divide people. But inherent in both scriptures is a deep belief in the bounty of God, who is known for many names, and it's filled with a desire for people of faith to be obedient to the will of God in both scriptures. It is my fervent hope that in these terrible times of suffering in Gaza and in Israel, that peace will be possible. In the words of Bob Marley, all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day. Salam, shalom, and blessed be. Our anthem this morning is Will You Harbor Me by Ysaye Barnwell, sung by our sanctuary choir. Thank you. I'd like to invite us all into a time of meditation and prayer with these words spoken into our hearts, knowing the number of refugees that we have in our own town, knowing the issues that are on our hearts today. Take a moment to breathe deeply, to recognize what it is in your own heart that needs your attention. And as you feel so moved, please feel free to come and light silently a candle of joy or a candle of sorrow. If you can come up the center aisle and go around the sides, that would be best. I think this side looks a little crowded with all those wonderful drums. So come around the back, and that's the safest. So I invite you into prayer and space for yourself. Come as it feels right to you. Our prayer this morning is by the Reverend Joan Javier Duval. Spirit of life, mother of all, mystery beyond our understanding. Here we are, living, breathing creatures with minds that wonder and hearts that feel awe. We face questions that we know can't be answered and tragedies that we know can't be explained. May we find patience in all that is unanswered and peace in all that will never be explained. Here we are, living, breathing creatures with open minds and tender hearts. May we hold ourselves with gentleness, with all that brings us worry and all that makes our hearts break. May the living, breathing creatures that we are feel the breath of life moving in us and through all things, bringing us into greater union with the mysterious universe of which we are a part. Blessed be. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 146 in the hymnal, Soon the Day Will Arrive. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Cheer
friends, go out into the world, as complicated and mysterious as we know it to be. Never give up on your hope for peace. Never give up on your search for unity. Always look for moments of joy and allow yourself to rest in the arms of love, which will never let us go and never leave us as it found us. I ask you to please remain standing for our postlude, which is on one day, and I hope that you will dance with us. I'm going to come down on the floor and dance with you, and it's just simply starting on your left foot. You're going to step and step to the other side. No, they start on the left foot. Yep, so you start on your left foot, and then you start, and then you'll be doing exactly what the choir is doing.
And please sing along with us on the chorus.
I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown.